Welcome to Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship. I'm Reverend Paul Backel. Crystal and the marimba folks, BUF-Ruvara2015, and I have been working on this for a couple of months, and we didn't have a title for it. And so just recently when I went into the schedule and I typed in, there was worship : blank, and so I said worship whatever, we came up with the title, whatever there is. Worship whatever there is. And at first I thought, whoa, is that a little provocative? And I thought, well, no, not at all. That is just so obvious. There are sometimes people who, when they discover Unitarianism, they say, oh, I don't like the word worship so much, so that worries me. Like, who are you worshiping? And I think this is just such a great response. So, today we're going to be celebrating moving along in life for our high school seniors and the experience of a family, a congregation, casting their progeny off into the world, into whatever there is. And so we will be preparing our hearts for that experience with a great story today. Next Sunday, for Flower Communion, we are going to put a big sheet in the front center here, and we're going to invite you to bring flowers of any sort, basically any organic material that you can set onto the sheet, and we'll make a gorgeous mandala. And then we will sing, talk and sing about transience and the fact that beauty is always temporary, and the fact that we should enjoy what is beautiful when it is before us. And so we're going to make this beautiful mandala, then we're going to fold it up, and we're going to carry it down to Whatcom Creek, and we're going to drop it over the bridge and let it go. So be prepared by bringing something beautiful that might be hard to let go of, but may need to be presented. Kay Witter has an announcement, and Jen Reynolds too. Yeah, up front.
My name is Kay Witter, and my husband Norm and I joined BUF in late 2003. We've had our fingers in many pies over the years. The realization that BUF no longer had an interfaith coalition representative a major concern in me. So I decided I needed to cut those range for this year. The Interfaith Coalition is a group of over 40 county congregations of many faiths working together to share our blessings with our neighbors in need. Although I don't know BUF's complete history with the Interfaith Coalition, I know it's been ongoing since before we came here in 2003, and I believe it's critical for BUF to continue this relationship. Many of you are aware of interfaith programs in our community. They are numerous, so I'll only name a few. Interfaith Community Health Center provides medical, dental, and pharmacy needs for more than 14,000 of our neighbors. They address family homelessness by providing and maintaining several temporary living quarters in Bellingham and Ferndale. They manage 2 severe weather shelters during our harsh winters. They organize the winter coat and project warm-up drive in late fall and early winter, as well as the holiday gift program in December. And coming soon, from July 5th to July 22nd, they support Bellingham's Project Homeless Connect. So watch for your ordered service next week. We'll have more information on that, and we'll have a list of items that you can help if you have available to donate. And BUF has been involved in many of these programs over the years. And we've supported Interfaith by providing a congregational gift to their annual auction in early spring. And our Christmas Eve service offering goes totally to Interfaith. My job is to make you aware of the many opportunities Interfaith provides for us as a community and individually to make an immediate difference in the lives of our neighbors. So you'll be hearing from me often. The problems facing our community often seem insurmountable, but when we join together and put our faith into action, we can make a difference. And We do. Thank you.
I produced a video of last week's BUF-Ruvara2015. It is on YouTube. I'll get it posted to the website. It's also going to be posted to the Friends and Members Facebook page for
As we like to challenge today, I invite you to join me in saying our covenant. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is a life. Celebrating our diversity and joined by a quest for truth, we work for peace and honor all creation. This is our covenant. And please stand and do hand motions with me as we sing Spirit Light. Remember, it's lighting out through your spirit smile, and you're going to let it out here. The wind was howling, the sea was wild, and the night was black, when the storm flung the sea thing child up onto the beach. In the morning, the sky was fresh and clean. The beach was littered with seaweed, and there she lay, a little black heap of scales and feathers, all alone. All alone she was. And behind her the ocean roared and shook its fist. She lay there howling, not very loud. The foam washed over her and went hissing away again. She was too little to swim very well, and she hadn't yet learned to fly. She was nothing but a little draggled heap of fright. After a while, she crawled up among the big, old, seaweed-bearded rocks by a tiger pool and went to sleep there, cheeping softly to herself. When she woke up, she ate some seaweed and mussels, and she felt stronger. She listened to the pebbles clicking on the tide wash as the tide came in, and then she gathered up some round stones and broken pieces of sea glass and broken cups and saucers that the sea and sand had smoothed into lumps of sea china. She built a sea stone igloo all around herself, with no door and no window. Then she sat inside it, breathing hard and making faces.
After a while, the sea thing child heard a thin and whispery voice yelling,
Oh, if I only had a bow, what music I could play.
The voice sounded as if it came from something smaller than herself, so she peeped through a space between the stones of her igloo. She saw a fiddler crab waving his fiddle and shouting,
Oh, if I only had a bow, music I could play. Walruses and great green turtles from the trackless deep would gather to hear the sound of my fiddling, yes.
If he could play, it might sound something like this.
night. The sea thing child was restless. She left her igloo and went for a walk on the beach all alone. Not very close to the edge of the water, where the white foam gleamed in the dark. She walked to where a river ran down to the sea, and there she heard an eel down in the dark, shining as it came down the river. Fresh to salt, salt to deep, deep must find, finding knows, water goes fresh to salt, salt to deep, deep to find thee.
Excuse me, but where are you going?
Far indeed, far indeed.
The sea thing child looked at the ocean that was black in the night. How will you find your way?
Finding knows, said the eel, dark in the starshine by the river. The finding is in me, and the finding finds a way.
Aren't you afraid?
Of what? Said the eel, slipping through the water, tasting in his mouth the sea brine and the salt night.
Of the deepness, and the darkness, and the farness of the water.
When the eel answered, he was out beyond the foam, and his voice was almost lost in the slap and gurgle of the waves. Born for the sea, he called, and headed for the deeps. The next day, the sea thing child mussed with her igloo all morning. And when the fiddler crab came to visit her, she said she did not want to play stones again. Perhaps today is a good day for strolling in the foam, said the crab.
Why don't you make a bow for your fiddle, and then you could play beautiful music while we stroll in the foam, and perhaps the walruses and the green turtles will come strolling in the foam with us. When the crab heard that, he scuttled into his hole and cried all afternoon.
scattered the sea stones and sea glass and sea china all over the beach. She went down to the edge of the foam that gleamed in the dark, and she smelled the salt air and listened to the surf. She waded in, felt the dark water flow past her tail. She went deeper, and it wet the scales on her belly. The water was warm, but she knew that further out, she would feel the cold coming up from the deeps. A little wave broke over her head and ran past. Then the bottom tried to slide away from under her and pull her out into the deep water with it. She came out of the water and ran up to the big old seaweed bearded rocks. She built her igloo all around her again with no door and no window. She went to sleep, cheating in the dark.
The fiddler crab and the sea thing child had very little to say to each other for a while. The sea thing child kept making igloos and taking them apart, and as time passed, she had to make them bigger and bigger because she was growing fast. One day, an albatross landed on the beach, pulled a little stubby pipe out, and sat down to have a smoke. The fiddler crab hid among the rocks, but the sea thing child came over to talk to the albatross.
Oh yeah, nice beach guy here. Good land strip, good fishing, good rocks, nice place. He puffed big clouds of smoke from his little black pipe and stared off into the sea with fearless eyes. You don't happen to play the fiddle or anything like that, do you? I like a bit of music and fun when I'm ashore.
No, said the sea thing child, but I have a friend who has a fiddle. And she looked at her friend, hiding under the rocks, shaking his head. But he doesn't have a bow, said the sea thing child.
Oh well, said the albatross, I'll just sit here a while and enjoy the view. Fine day, see for miles, lovely wind, good flying, big fine passage today, miles and miles and miles. But of course, you know how it is as well as I do, you being a sea thing. The sea thing looked thoughtful as the albatross went on. Fly and swim just like me, but you can go under too. You can do the deep swim. Tell me, what have you seen down there in the deep?
Oh, I've never seen anything, except the big storm that blew me out of my nest and washed me up here.
Don't tell me you've been on this beach the whole time.
Well, yes, I have.
Well, how come?
Well, the storm, you know, and the wind, and, well, the waves, and the dark, and, well, you know, the ocean being so big, me being so small.
Small? What isn't small compared to the ocean? Blue whale's the biggest thing that swims, and that's small in the ocean. If the ocean weren't big, it wouldn't be the ocean. A whale is a whale size, and I'm an albatross size, and you're a sea thing size. What more do you want? He stood up and brushed the sand off his body.
You're never afraid? Not afraid of getting lost in the middle of the ocean? Not afraid of the storms and the dark and the wind howling all around you?
Well, there's no such thing as an afraid albatross. The ocean wouldn't be the ocean without storms, and the ocean is where I live. How can you get lost when you're where you live? I was born on a rock in the middle of the ocean, and wandering is my name. He knocked the ash off his pipe and turned into the wind. Clear the runway, I'm taking off. He started to run, flapped his wings hard, and went up into the air.
The sea thing child watched the albatross go out of sight. Then she went back to the big old seaweed bearded rocks and sat all afternoon looking out to sea until the sky grew dark. The albatross gave the sea thing child a lot to think about. Sometimes we need other people to reflect for us who we are and what's important to us. This morning, I'm pleased to invite a representative from Explorations Academy. Yes, come forward, please. Explorations Academy is the recipient of this month's Social Justice Collection, and why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about it?
Hello? Wow. My name is Daniel Kirkpatrick, and I am honored to work at Explorations Academy. Explorations is an independent high school currently in its 20th year in Bellingham, and our school is dedicated to preparing young people to be global citizens and change agents. Like the see-thing child, teenagers have a lot of uncertainties to face in their lives. Who they are, what their identity is, how to best interact with others, what is their place in the world. And our school is committed to trying to help those young people find meaningful places to be in the world and find their own power. I'd like to tell you a very short story about one of our students. I'm going to call her Maria. She just graduated last Thursday, a young woman, a very wonderful, talented, capable young woman. English was her second language. She is the youngest of 5 daughters, and she is the first of the 5 daughters to graduate high school. She's also the first of 5 daughters to graduate or to make it through adolescence without already becoming a mother. She's going to be a great mother someday, but she chose to graduate high school first. When she first came to our school 4 years ago, she was tremendously uncertain and did not have any academic self-esteem to speak of, but she chose to come to our school because she saw that it might help her reach her potential. And in fact, this is a kid who is now receiving leadership awards. She's very self-confident, got a full ride scholarship to college, and is one example of the kind of work we do at Explorations. There are 2 things I'd like to tell you about our school, specifically in the moment I have. The first is, our school is experiential in nature, which means we are committed to keeping the kids as actively involved in learning as possible, meaning we average 1 day per week on some kind of field outing all over the Northwest, and we also take an international trip each year to give students a sense of what it means to be a global citizen and do service work and academic study in another country. The other fact I'd like to tell you about our school is, over 20 years, we have a stellar track record of including students of all incomes in our school. Typically a private school, we prefer the term independent, but typically a private school gives 10 to 15 or maybe 20% of their students financial aid. 25 is considered a very high number. Explorations Academy provides financial aid to approximately 50% of our student body, and what makes that possible is the generosity of donors in our community, including many of you in this congregation. And whatever is given today in honor of our school will go to help lower income students receive an education that prepares them to be global citizens and change agents. If you'd like to know more, my colleague Ariel and I will be downstairs after the service. We can answer questions. Thank you very much for welcoming us, for having us be here, and for being such awesome people.
Please be generous as the ushers come around to receive the morning offering. All of the monies received will go to them. You can even write checks to BUF, and they will be passed along to Explorations Academy if you write that in the memo. And now we're going to see that what?
Explorations Academy will be governed by the anonymous.
Seats and notes that whatever is given today will be doubled by an anonymous donor. So, as the ushers come around, the choir is going to sing. It's a call and response song, and you can pick it up as they go. There's a couple of easy lines for you to respond to. One is, I like to play marimba. You can catch that. And then another one is, A quantum goma. So if you hear them say A quantum goma, just shout back, A quantum goma. Is that right? A quantum goma. A quantum goma. There you go. You'll hear it. Let's do it. the sea thing child stopped building igloos.
Thank you.
But sometimes she made little heaps of stones and sea glass and sea china and drew a circle in the sand around them. Sat inside the circle. Do you mean to break the circle when you want to come out, or do you just step over it? Asked the crab.
I have to make a break in the circle, of course, but that's much less bother than moving stones and much easier to close up again.
Yes, that's very sensible. It's a fine day. Perhaps we might take a walk among the rocks?
Why don't we stroll in the foam?
In the foam? You mean right in it where it's wet?
Yes, said the sea thing child, and she rubbed out just enough of the circle so that she could walk through the space. Then she closed it up again, and they went strolling in the foam, singing the song the sea sang. Breathing and sighing far and deep, hissing and foaming, never sleep.
At night, the sea thing child felt more and more restless. She looked out at the stars, and when she closed her eyes, she went on seeing the stars in her mind. She could not sleep unless she was facing a particular star that burned and flickered over the sea. And when she slept, she dreamed of wind rushing past her. She dreamed of the ocean, too, black and heaving in the night. Sometimes under her, sometimes over her. She would run along the beach in the dark, cheeping to herself. Then she would come back to her circle, and every night, before she went to sleep, she drew a second circle around the first one. One day, when the sea thing child woke up, the sky was gray, the sea was rough and huge, the air hummed. The sea thing child stayed inside her double circle all day, staring at the ocean.
After a while, the crab came and stood outside the double circle with his eye stalks turned away from the sea thing child.
You never want to play stones anymore. You never want to stroll on the foam. You are tired of listening to my lies.
What lies?
My lies about what I could do if I had a bow. I told you I don't have a bow, but with a bit of bone and seaweed I could make one. But what if I have no music in me?
Need must find.
Find what?
Whatever there is.
All right, I'll make a bow. Will you stay then and not go away?
I never said I was going away.
At night, I hear you running in the dark. Sometimes I see you looking at the stars, and I hear something in the wind.
What do you hear in the wind?
Whatever there is. That night, the sea thing child heard the air humming. She looked up at the sky for the star that she always looked at, but it was blotted out. She could not make out the star with her eyes, but in the dark of her mind, she saw it burning and flickering over the sea. The humming of the air grew louder, and the sea thing child stepped out of her double circle and faced into the wind. The ocean was high and wild, and the sky and the sea roared together, heaving in the dark. The sea thing child spread her wings to keep from falling down, and the wind blew her backward. She moved forward against the wind, and then she began to run faster and faster. The beach slipped away from beneath her. She laughed and flapped her wings and left the ground behind. When the crab heard the beating of the wings, he came out of his hole and looked up. Whatever there is, he shouted.
Whatever there is! called the sea thing child, and she swooped down through the dark, dived through the wild waves, into the blackness below, rose out of the foam, soared into the night, and away into the storm, over the ocean she was born in.
One we can all relate to. We are all sea thing children. Or fiddler crowds. Or people. We have a journey of self-discovery that leads to that inevitable leap of faith that projects us into the adult world of self-sufficiency and independence. Our annual bridging ceremony celebrates the transition of our youth from their high school experience into young adulthood. It is a time of tremendous change and stress for our youth. It is a time when some of them will leave our church community to travel to other cities, into higher education, into careers, and possibly into new families. The bridging ceremony is a rite of passage that welcomes these bright and energetic people into the rewards and responsibilities of adult life. The bridge has two sides. One is childhood and adolescence, where they have become leaders and role models for their younger friends and acquaintances. The other side is a scary and vast frontier of the unknown, full of boundless opportunities and new challenges. We, the adult members of this church community, also stand on the other side. We stand on the other side with our arms open to welcome them, our minds prepared to mentor and learn from them, and our hearts prepared to share life together with them. William Hobenden is unable to be with us this morning, so our one bridging youth is Maya McGee. Maya, please come forward. Maya, in the past 4 years, you have gone from being unsure of just how Unitarian Universalism fit into your teenage life to being an incredible, inspirational leader, not only in your youth group, but in this congregation and the greater Pacific Northwest District Con community. Your leadership, thoughtfulness, sense of adventure, perseverance, and creativity inspire me more than you can know. Unitarian Universalism has played an important role in your life's path, and I sincerely hope that it continues so. The future growth and vitality of our religion depends upon young adults such as Maya and William. They will be needed to serve as the lay leaders of our churches, the sustainers of our innovative spirit, and the voice of our movement. We do not want our religious movement to have a limited future. Therefore, we must meet the young adults' needs and provide a place for them and all they have to offer. Today, we are recognizing the transition you are making into your life as you graduate and enter young adulthood.
At our child dedication service for babies, we welcome those children into the beginning of childhood in our church community by giving them roses with tightly closed buds on stems from which the thorns have been removed. The buds are symbols of life just beginning, whose unfolding just as they will experience petal by petal. The thornless stems are vivid images of our intent to protect the children of our church family from all that could be hurtful, to make their paths smooth as their lives unfold. Now, you are at the other end of childhood, and it is fitting once more to use these symbols, those images from the past, to speak to you and to ourselves of what is to come. Again, roses. Not the tight buds of babyhood anymore, but larger, more vivid and colorful ones, closer to opening into full and glorious flowers. The stems this time are not stripped of their thorns. We can no longer hold away the hurts and dangers of adulthood, any more than we can keep these buds from opening. Though adult life is occasionally painful, not always rich in color and texture, we urge you to engage in it fully. And while we are not able to protect you in the future, we hope we have given you the tools that you will need to protect yourself, such as values by which to measure the worth of whatever there is, decision-making skills, and the knowledge of how to think instead of only following what others think, a heritage of the right of conscience and the need to act on what conscience demands, and a religious community in which to test and refine the possible directions of your life. I offer you the words of Buddha. Believe nothing merely because you have been told it, or it has been traditional, or because you have imagined it yourself. Believe whatsoever you find to be conducive to the good, to benefit the welfare of all beings.
We would like to present you with two other gifts also. The first one is a chalice. We would like you to light this chalice as a symbol of yourself and your own beliefs. Now it is your responsibility to keep your flame aglow. Take this chalice and use it to find your own path, but remember the love and the faith which are in this gift, because they're here for you. They're available to you here whenever you need them. We would also like to give you another gift, one that you might use a little more frequently. We want you to have a travel mug. That way you can take the warmth and love of a Unitarian Universalist coffee hour with you anywhere that you go. This is a time of moving beyond your youth to the fuller responsibility of adulthood. Decisions about your religion, your faith, your life, and your person lie ahead. You will decide whether or not to go to church, whether to belong to a congregation, or to carry on your religious life on your own. Take the flame, the warmth, and the energy from us, and remember all the lessons that we've learned together. Live your life in awareness of your actions and your choices. See the beauty in the world which surrounds us, the structure and the chaos, and realize that although there are manifestations of evil in this world, there are also manifestations of good. Let the balance of what you do in this world add to the good. This ceremony is called bridging, so we're going to create a bridge for Maya. So I'd like to ask anyone who has taught Maya in religious education over the years to move to the center aisle and just sort of face inward. So from either side, face inward. If you have ever been Maya's teacher in religious education, do that now. And also, if you have ever had her in OWL class, if you were an OWL instructor, if you were her coming of age mentor, if you were another DRE at the time, come into the center aisle. If you were a child and you had Maya as a teacher or a child care provider, please come into this center aisle and make a little bridge. You're going to face each other so she can walk through you. You can get there. Any other volunteers who have worked with Maya on any projects while she's been here? Her parents are invited. Michelle can come forward into the bridge. You see a lot of children in here because Maya provided childcare, but she has also been the primary elementary teacher this year in our religious education classes. Okay, that's a nice looking bridge. We all want to share our blessings with you as you go. So what we're going to do is read a short blessing that is maybe in the order of service. Maybe on yeah, it's in. Okay. Hang on. I've lost my spot. Okay. Everyone's facing the center aisle. Raise your hands up so that you're making a bridge. We're going to send Maya down through the bridge with our love and blessings. Will the congregation please join me in reciting the words printed in the order of service, and then just remain standing. We're going to sing Blue Bow Home. Everybody else can kind of stand up and just sort of face the bridge, like make it nice and deep and wide, really wide bridge. Awesome. Ready? This is not a farewell, but a welcoming. We want to honor your graduation and let you know that you are always wanted and needed here at BUF. We are all very proud of you, and there will always be a warm hug and an open ear waiting here for you. Congratulations on your graduation, and heartfelt wishes go with you wherever your life path may lead you. Go in peace upon your road. We wish you well.
Oh, let's go to the center.